today we are talking about some tips to get you back on track when you got to get back on the wagon. I'm going to tell you, this is art imitating life, imitating art, imitating life. If you are not aware, it's okay if you're not aware. Last Thursday, my mom had a surgery on her foot. Everything's fine. Everything's good. Planned on taking Thursday off to be with her, but Thursday kind of turned into Friday. I spent the night over there and then came home much later than I was expecting on Friday, and then actually went back up Sunday. She lives about an hour north of me. Went back up Sunday, spent the night Sunday, came back like midday yesterday. You guys, if you don't know this about me, I'm going to tell you, if you're spontaneous, I'm super jelly. I'm super jealous of you if you are a very spontaneous person, because I am not. I am someone who thrives in like structure and routine. So you would think like, well, you got home at, 12 o'clock. What's the big deal? Why couldn't you just get your work done? Because my day doesn't start at 12 o'clock. My day starts at 7 o'clock. And so by not being where I'm supposed to be at the time I'm supposed to be, it just sort of throws my whole flow off, right? I'm kind of like 3 days behind at this point because I had Thursday scheduled off and then Friday got in late and then Monday got in late and was over at my mom's on Sunday. So like, I don't know. I'm just like all kind of discombobulated, right? And you guys, I think this happens to all of us probably more than maybe we even recognize because we're women and who gets stuff done, right? When somebody needs, when somebody has an emergency, who do they call? They call you. So you have to put everything that you're working on to the side and you go take care of whatever you need to take care of. And the next thing you know, it's a day or 2 or 3 or 5 days behind where you thought you were going to be. You suddenly feel like you're completely off track. And if you are a spontaneous person, maybe that doesn't bother you as much as someone who really thrives on routine and structure like me does. Like life has been extra lifey. It's hard. And so I want to talk about just bestie real talk. Okay. What do you do when you get so far off track and you're like, crap, now I feel like I've dug a hole and how do I get out of the hole? So I wanted to give you 4 tips of kind of what I'm doing and things that are really practical and reasonable and implementable and doable so that when you find yourself off track, you can say, okay, you know what? Like, cool, it happened. Life happened because that's what it does, but I need to get back on track. So the first thing, and this is a big one, you guys, the first thing is, and Elizabeth, I'm looking at you right now, okay? The first thing is, I don't want you to turn this into an integrity issue. I don't want you to turn this into an integrity issue. And here's what I mean by this. When we get off track, we have a goal, we have this big thing that we're working towards, and then we get off track for a week or a month or whatever, then our mind says, oh, you always do this. You always do this. You're so lazy. You're so scattered. You're so, insert your negative self-talk here, right? It becomes an integrity issue. Don't let it be an integrity issue. Because you got off track doesn't mean anything about anything. It just means other stuff was prioritized for you. What you were working on, your goals at that moment were not as high of a priority as these other things. So don't let it become an integrity issue. Don't beat yourself up over it after the fact, because guess what? That does literally nothing. That does nothing for you. If I sat here and said after, not being productive on Thursday, Friday, and really hardly yesterday, I was like, well, that's how you always do, Wendy. You sit here and coach everybody about being productive, but then you just blow off your business for 3 days. What's that going to accomplish? Literally nothing. I had something else that was more important to me. I'm allowed to do that, right? You're allowed to do that. We are allowed to say, this is not a priority right now because something else needs my attention and my focus. So do not make it an integrity issue. Don't make it a bigger issue than it is. Like, stuff happened. You were over here. Now you're back here. Number 2, a really powerful one, if you've been off track for a short amount of time, and that's really looking at the big picture, right? So I feel like I'm 3 days behind because I haven't been productive really by my standards for 3 days. But if I look at the big picture, if I look at like the ground that I feel like I lost, looking through the end of the year, like that's a blip. It's barely a blip. So why would I continue to stay off track, sort of beating myself up when really it's barely enough to even register. And even if you've been off track for a couple months, it's never too late to get back on track, right? In the grand scheme of things, if you've been off track, I know y'all, COVID, like the world, craziness, maybe you've been off track since March. This is what, end of July? Maybe you've had 4 or 5 months where you've been off track. In a 1-year period, that might feel like a long time. But in a 3 or 5-year period, it's a blip. It's just a tiny blip. So really get out of the how much time you've wasted and focus on the bigger picture of how much time you still have to get where you want to be, right? It's just a blip. Number 3 is really simplify. And this is one that's I struggle with, I'll be honest. I like everything to be complicated. I like there to be a lot of pieces. I like there to be, but sometimes when we've gotten off track, the really making everything more complicated than it needs to be actually works against us. So if we can just simplify your task list, simplify whatever that project was. If you had something that you wanted to launch, I'll use me for an example. Let's say hypothetically, not the case, but let's say hypothetically, I had a product I had scheduled to launch on this Friday, and I was only working on it last week and this week, but I lost 2 days last week and 1 day this week. Well, now maybe the bells and whistles aren't going to be there when I launch, right? Maybe I have to simplify what the offering is. Maybe I have to simplify the marketing. It's okay to simplify as long as you're still moving forward. Bestie Real Talk. What happens is we say, well, if it can't be perfect, if it can't be what I envisioned, if it can't be all these things, then it's not worth doing. And that's just garbage, y'all. That's just garbage. So simplify. And then number 4, which is really, really helpful, and this is hopefully your big takeaway. We talked a little bit about mindset, a little bit about, focus, but this is sort of the tactical element, is prioritize something that you can finish. Prioritize something that you can cross it off, like start to finish right away. Give yourself that quick win, because then that's going to help you mentally feel like, okay, I'm crossing stuff off. I'm getting back on track. I'm getting back in my groove. I can do this. I can do this. So really prioritize something that's going to be a quick win. Now, listen, that doesn't mean just go do any old busy work. That doesn't mean just go scroll the news feed, but that means take something that's important, that needs to be done, that's part of your bigger picture goals, but you can get a quick win out of it. You can do it right now. It's not going to take you much time, and you can cross that off your list, and that gets you back into the flow. Okay. So you guys, if you've been off track, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't turn it into an integrity issue. Focus on the big picture, simplify where you can, and then give yourself that quick win, because that's going to boost you. So you're going to be like, oh yeah, I got this done. And you're just going to keep on keeping on. All right, besties. Hey, listen, I hope you have an amazing day. I love you madly, and I'll see you later.